The moment it happened is burned into my mind. I was standing in the middle of the open office, holding the quarterly report I'd worked on for 3 straight weeks. My hands were shaking because the whole team was watching. And then Clara, my supervisor, snatched the report from my fingers and waved it in the air like trash. "This," she said loudly, "is what happens when someone who barely understands her job tries to do real work." Everyone laughed. The sound hit me like glass. I felt my face heat up, and I whispered, "That isn't fair. I followed every guideline." Clara leaned close. "Pam, you're only here because HR felt sorry for you." She smirked as if she enjoyed the sting. Then she dropped my report on the floor, stepped on it, and walked away. The room kept buzzing. I heard Caleb whisper to his desk mate, "She's a joke." A joke. That word dug into my chest. My throat tightened, but I refused to cry. Not here, not in front of them. I bent down to pick up my papers one by one, my fingers trembling as I gathered the ruined pages. Something inside me changed, sharp, quiet, and strong. I wasn't going to stay their joke, not for long. And that moment was the beginning of everything I avoided everyone for the rest of the day. My voice shook when I asked the receptionist if the conference room was free. I just needed silence, somewhere to think, to breathe. When I closed the door behind me, it felt like the world finally stopped spinning. I stared at the ruined report on the table. The ink was smudged from where Clara's heel had pressed it down. "I can't stay like this," I whispered. My heart thudded in my ears. Then, as I was packing my things, I noticed something odd. The version she humiliated me for wasn't the final file I submitted. My final draft had been polished and approved by the finance assistant, but the one she used was an older version, the one with mistakes I had already fixed. My eyes widened. Someone switched it. A jolt ran through me. I didn't know who did it or why, but I knew it wasn't an accident. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "Stay quiet, Pam, or next time will be worse." My stomach dropped. My hands went cold as ice. Someone in that office didn't just want me embarrassed, they wanted me powerless. I sat back in the chair, breathing hard. For the first time, I realized this wasn't humiliation. It was a setup. And setups can be undone. The next morning, the office felt different, heavier, like the walls themselves were watching me. I walked to my desk slowly, trying not to look scared. But inside, fear twisted with something new, suspicion. When I sat down, Jonas, the quiet IT guy, rolled his chair closer. He never talked to anyone unless it was about software updates. Today, he looked nervous. "I shouldn't say anything," he whispered, glancing around. My pulse sped up. "Say it," I urged softly. He swallowed. "Clara. She told Caleb to pull your old file." My chest tightened. "Are you sure?" Jonas nodded fast. "She said you were getting too confident and needed to be put back in your place." I felt my fingernails dig into my palms. She wanted me broken. She wanted me scared. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked, my voice barely a breath. "Because," he whispered, "you're not the only one she's done this to, and most people either quit or she pushes them out." Another twist, another piece of the truth. Before I could ask more, Clara's voice rang across the office. "Pam, my office, now." Jonas slid back to his cubicle, eyes wide. I stood up slowly, heart pounding. If she thought I was going to stay quiet, she was wrong. But I didn't know. She had another blow waiting. Clara sat behind her glass desk, tapping her nails like she was counting down to my collapse. I stepped in, keeping my face calm, even though my stomach twisted. "Close the door," she said sharply. I obeyed. She didn't waste a second. "I'm placing you on a performance improvement plan," she announced. "Your work has become sloppy, your attitude questionable." My breath caught. But my evaluations were perfect last month. They were generous, she replied, smiling in a way that made my skin crawl. I felt anger rise, hot and trembling. Someone switched my file, you know that. Her smile froze. Then she leaned back. Careful, Pam. Accusations like that can end careers. Her tone sliced deep. But then her laptop dinged. Clara clicked the notification, and her face changed. She tried to hide it, but I saw the shock. I stepped forward. What is it? None of your business, she snapped, slamming the laptop shut. But not before I caught a glimpse. A report, my name on it, submitted to the corporate office marked urgent. I hadn't sent anything. Confusion hit me. Fear followed. Clara stood up. We're done here. I walked out slowly, heart shaking. Someone else was moving behind the scenes. Someone bold enough to involve corporate. And I had no idea if they were helping me or destroying me. By lunchtime, whispers filled the office again. I tried to ignore them, but every glance felt sharp, like tiny needles pricking my skin. I went to the break room just to breathe, but even there, 2 co-workers fell silent the moment I entered. I couldn't take it anymore. I headed for the elevator, planning to sit in my car for a moment of peace. But when the doors closed, my phone buzzed again. Same unknown number. Check your email. Now. My heart thumped. I opened the message. There was a link to a security folder, one I shouldn't have access to. I hesitated, then tapped it. A video loaded. Elevator footage. Timestamped 2 nights ago. My breath stopped. The footage showed someone entering the office late at night, hoodie up, moving quietly. They went straight to the file room and pulled up my folder. Then they swapped documents, the same switch used to humiliate me. The person looked up once, just enough for the camera to catch part of a face. My legs weakened. It wasn't Caleb. It wasn't Clara. It was someone I never expected to see there. I stared at the screen, heart pounding in my ears. The message buzzed again. If you want the full truth, meet me after work. The trap was set, or the rescue was beginning. I spent the rest of the day pretending to work, but the truth was I couldn't focus. My mind kept replaying the grainy elevator footage, the half-seen face, the unknown number. The message telling me to meet after work. By 5:02 p.m., the office emptied fast, like everyone wanted to escape before something exploded. I walked to the parking lot slowly, scanning every shadow. My palms were sweaty. Part of me whispered, "Don't go." But another part, stronger, pushed me forward. I needed answers. A figure stood near the far corner of the lot, under the flickering streetlight. My heart hammered when they stepped forward. It was Jonas. He raised both hands like he didn't want to scare me. "Pam, I sent the messages." My breath caught. Why? Why hide? He looked around nervously. Because Clara watches everything. She has people in HR and even one person in corporate. I couldn't risk her finding out I was helping you. I stared at him. So it was her. She told Caleb to switch the file. Yes, he whispered, but it's worse. Clara has been building a case to fire you. She wants you gone before the next promotion cycle. My stomach twisted. Why me? Jonas swallowed. Because you don't know the secret she's hiding. A sharp noise echoed behind us. A car door slamming. Jonas's face went pale. We're not alone, he whispered. The parking lot fell silent. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. Jonas grabbed my arm gently and pulled me behind a row of cars. His breathing quickened. Don't panic, he whispered. Someone followed us. My heart pounded so loud I felt it in my throat. Who? He peeked around the SUV, then jerked back. It's Caleb. I froze. Caleb, the same guy who called me a joke. The same guy who pulled the wrong file. He walked slowly between the parked cars, holding his phone like he was recording. Pam, he called out, voice smug. Jonas, you two hiding from something? Jonas clenched his teeth. He's sending everything to Clara. He must have heard us. I stepped out before Jonas could stop me. What do you want, Caleb? He smirked. Just checking on the Star employee. Heard you're meeting mysterious guys after work now. His tone made my skin crawl. Then his phone buzzed. He looked at the screen and the smirk vanished. He stared at me, confused, almost worried. He muttered, "What the?" Then hurried away, almost tripping. I frowned. What happened? Jonas exhaled shakily. I think he just got the same video I sent you. My eyes widened. Someone else is sending it? Jonas shook his head slowly. That wasn't me. A new player was in the building. The next morning, I arrived earlier than usual. I needed time alone before Clara showed up and turned the office into a storm. Jonas texted me at 6:50 a.m. Act normal. Someone else is moving pieces now. I didn't know if that made me safer or in more danger. When I walked into the office, something felt off. A thin brown envelope sat on my desk with no name. I looked around, no one in sight. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside was a printed copy of a corporate audit report. My name was all over it. At first I panicked, thinking it was another setup. But then I saw the notes scribbled on the margins, check page 4. Not your mistake. Clara altered numbers. A chill ran through me. I read faster, my eyes widening with every line. The audit revealed irregularities, false expenses, misreported budgets, dating back almost a year, all tied to Clara's department. And someone wanted me to find it. I heard footsteps. I shoved everything back into the envelope right as Clara entered, heels clicking sharply. Her eyes scanned my desk. Morning, Pam, she said too sweetly. I forced a smile. Morning? Her gaze lingered. Suspicious, sharp. I kept breathing steadily, but inside I knew one thing. Clara wasn't just sabotaging employees. She was covering a crime. Around noon, I went to refill my water bottle, trying to act normal, even though my chest felt tight from everything I had just learned. As I passed the small conference room, I heard voices. Clara's angry whisper and another voice deep and familiar. Curiosity pulled me closer. I paused near the doorway, listening. You said you handled Pam, the man said. Clara snapped. I did. But someone keeps giving her information. I felt my heartbeat slam against my ribs. They were talking about me. I warned you, he continued. Corporate is sniffing around the budget. If they find out what we did... Clara cut him off sharply. What you did. I cleaned up your mess. My stomach twisted. Who was he? I leaned a little and through the glass I saw his face. Mr. Holden, our regional manager, Clara's boss. Shock rippled through me. He was part of this too. Clara paced. Relax. Pam is easy to control. She's emotional. People like her crumble fast. My throat tightened with anger. I forced myself to stay silent. Mr. Holden replied, Well, start crumbling her faster. We can't afford corporate knowing. Footsteps approached. I backed away quickly and pretended to be checking my phone. Clara opened the door, eyes scanning the hall. For a split second, her gaze locked on me, and something in her eyes said she wasn't fooled. By afternoon, tension rippled through the whole office. Clara was snapping at everyone. Mr. Holden kept pacing near the elevators like he was waiting for bad news. Jonas avoided eye contact, typing nervously at his desk. I felt like a storm cloud sat right above my head. At 3:17 p.m., a notification popped up on my screen. New email, subject, for when you're ready. No sender listed. My breath hitched. I clicked it. Inside was a single attachment. A forwarded email chain. I opened it, and my jaw dropped. It was between Clara and Mr. Holden, dated weeks before the mistake with my report. They were planning the humiliation, planning to put me on a performance plan, planning to make me quit. But the twist hit harder. They also talked about the budget fraud, the fake expenses, the missing funds. Clara wrote, "Once Pam is gone, we shift the numbers and close the audit early." My hands went cold. Someone had sent me proof, real proof, that they were guilty. My phone buzzed right then. Unknown number. Again. Don't trust Jonas. Don't confront Clara. Watch the break room camera at 5 p.m. I stared at the message, pulse racing. Someone in that building was watching everything. Someone who wanted the truth exposed. And 5 p.m. was coming fast. The clock in the break room ticked slowly, each second echoing in my ears. I arrived at 4:58 p.m., just as the unknown number had instructed Jonas wasn't there. Good. I needed to figure this out alone. The camera feed was on the small TV mounted above the coffee machine. At first, nothing happened. Then, 5:01 p.m., Clara appeared. She walked straight to my desk, looking around like she owned the place. I held my breath, hidden behind the counter. Then she pulled a file from her bag. My stomach sank. That file wasn't just the report. Someone had replaced it again. She rifled through pages, muttering, and then she froze. Her phone buzzed. Clara glanced at it, eyes wide, fingers trembling. She ripped the screen protector off her phone, stared at the text, then looked around nervously. It was clear she had no idea who was sending me information now. The camera feed caught everything. The panic on her face, the whispered, "Impossible?" As she realized the evidence she was relying on wasn't secure anymore. I whispered to myself, voice shaky, "So someone's playing both sides." And for the first time since the humiliation, I smiled. Finally, the tables were turning. I met Jonas after work in the empty parking lot, heart still hammering from the break room surveillance. He looked pale, clutching a folder like it held his life. "Pam." "There's more," he whispered. I froze. "More? What do you mean?" He hesitated, then lowered his voice. "The first file swap. That wasn't just Clara someone inside corporate. Help me get it to you." My eyes widened. "Corporate? You mean the same people who could fire me for looking at the wrong email?" He nodded. "Exactly. And I think they're protecting you for now. But it's dangerous. Clara is desperate. She's already asking around who knows what." I ran a hand through my hair. "So, you were helping me because," he admitted, voice tight. "I've been trying to expose Clara for months, and when you got caught in her trap, I couldn't stand by and watch her ruin you." I blinked, stunned. "You risked your job for me?" Jonas nodded. "Yes. But it's not enough. If Clara finds out, she could take everything from both of us." A shadow moved across the lot. My stomach dropped. "Pam," Jonas whispered urgently. "Someone's here." The shadow in the parking lot grew closer. Jonas and I crouched behind his car, hearts pounding. The footsteps stopped. I barely dared to breathe. A man stepped into the dim light, hoodie up, face partially hidden. He froze when he saw us. Jonas whispered, "Who is that?" The man raised a hand. "Relax, I'm on your side." I frowned. "If you're on our side, who are you?" "I work for corporate." "Let's call me the Observer," he said, voice low. "I've been monitoring Clara for months. When I saw the mess she made with your file, I decided it was time to intervene." I felt a mixture of relief and fear. "Why now?" "Because," he replied, "she's reckless. And the next move she makes could ruin everything, including exposing the missing funds to the wrong people." Jonas looked at me, tense. "You trust him?" I shook my head slowly. "I don't know. But right now, he's the only one who can help." The Observer handed me a USB drive. "Everything you need is on this. Use it wisely. But be careful. Clara will notice if anything goes missing." Before I could ask more, he vanished into the shadows, like he'd never been there. I held the USB tightly. My pulse raced. The game had just changed. The next day, Clara's mood was tense. She didn't bark orders like usual. She watched every move I made, she tracked. Even her smug smile seemed forced, brittle. At my desk, I opened the USB. Files, emails, photos, proof of her budget fraud, the report swaps, even messages between her and Mr. Holden. My hands shook as I absorbed it all. Then my phone buzzed. Jonas. She's on to you. Don't open the break room camera again today. I froze. Clara's eyes flicked toward me. I snapped my laptop closed. She smirked faintly, as if she suspected I had something. By lunchtime, whispers started again. I overheard Caleb mumbling, "She's acting weird. Something's up." Clara approached, leaning on my cubicle wall. "Pam, you've been quiet lately. Too quiet," she said softly. My stomach knotted. I forced a smile. "Just focused, Clara." Her eyes narrowed. "Focused? Or hiding something?" A flicker of panic hit me, but only for a second I realized I had proof. And if I played it right, I could end this. The twist: Clara didn't know the USB existed, but she was already suspicious. And suspicion can be as dangerous as evidence. That evening, I stayed late. The office was empty, lights low. I plugged the USB into my laptop and started copying files. Each folder, each email, each evidence piece felt like fuel. I whispered to myself, voice trembling, "This is it. I'm taking back control." Jonas peeked in through the security door. "Be careful," he warned. I nodded, heart racing. "I will." Suddenly my laptop pinged. A message popped up from an unknown number. "Clara will check her office tonight. Make your move wisely." I swallowed hard. My hands shook. I couldn't just dump the files online, not yet. If I exposed her too soon, she'd cover it up. But if I waited too long, I risked her finding out I had proof. I took a deep breath, heart hammering. The plan formed in my mind. A controlled reveal, not reckless, not cruel, just undeniable. Jonas leaned close. "I'm with you. Whatever happens." I looked at him, voice firm. "Then let's make them laugh. Last, not me." The clock ticked toward 9 p.m. The first move was ready, and Clara had no idea it was coming. The office was silent except for the hum of the air conditioning. Jonas and I crouched near the security monitors. Clara would come to our office tonight, like clockwork. The observer's note flashed in my mind. "Clara will check her office tonight. Make your move wisely." I opened the USB again, double-checking the files. Every email, spreadsheet, and photo was ready. My pulse raced, but my hands were steady. I whispered, "This is it, no mistakes." At 8:55 p.m., Clara's heels clicked against the floor. She entered carrying a folder, looking over her shoulder like she suspected something. Jonas and I exchanged a tense glance. She sat at her desk, flipping through the papers. Then she froze. Hearing the faint click of the security door behind her, her phone buzzed. She checked it, eyes narrowing. "Impossible," she muttered. I held my breath, every second stretched. Clara opened the drawer where she kept her backup files, the ones she thought no one knew about. I could see the panic rise on her face, even from the monitors. Jonas whispered, "She doesn't know it's over." I swallowed hard. She will soon. The first move was no longer just a plan. It was a living, unstoppable force. And I was finally ready to reclaim everything. I accessed the secure corporate email from my laptop, fingers trembling but precise. Each file from the USB was attached, ready to go, to be delivered not recklessly, but strategically. Jonas watched over my shoulder. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. "I have to be," I whispered. "If I don't act now, Clara will cover her tracks." I drafted a brief note. Attached are files revealing irregularities in Clara's department. Please investigate. Pam. Before hitting send, I paused. One glance at Jonas. "This is fair. I'm not cruel. I'm firm. Let them see the truth." The clock struck 9 p.m. I exhaled slowly and pressed send. Immediately, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. Well done. Now watch. Almost instantly, alerts pinged from corporate. Emails forwarded. Managers opening the files. Within minutes, I saw Clara's face appear on the live security feed. Panic, disbelief, fury. She ran to her office phone, dialing numbers in desperation, Jonas whispered. Awed. They're reading it. They all are. I smiled quietly, voice trembling with triumph. The joke's on them, not me. And in that moment, after months of humiliation, fear, and doubt, I felt a calm, steady power I had never known. The echo of the laughter had finally turned. By 9:30 p.m., Clara was on a conference call with Mr. Holden, yelling so loudly the walls trembled. I watched from the security monitor, my pulse still racing. She leaked the files, she screamed. Pam! Mr. Holden's voice was cold. Clara, stay calm. HR and legal are now reviewing everything. We need statements. Her hands shook. She slammed the phone down and turned toward the empty office. Looking like she could destroy anything in sight, I whispered to Jonas, voice low, "This is working. Everything's working." But Jonas frowned. "Watch her closely. People like Clara don't fold quietly. She'll strike back." Sure enough, she grabbed a stack of papers from her desk, storming toward the main office. Then she paused. She looked directly at one of the security cameras. Her eyes widened, panic mixed with fury. She didn't know how much we had. I leaned back, heart hammering. She's finally realizing she's outplayed. Jonas nodded. And now, we wait. The air in the office felt electric. The power shift was clear, palpable. For the first time, I realized revenge didn't have to be cruel. It just had to be precise. And tonight, I wasn't their joke anymore. The next morning, whispers filled the office again, but this time I walked in differently, calm, collected. No one dared laugh at me. Even Caleb's smirk was gone. He approached, voice low. "Pam, I didn't know about this until today. I cut him off gently, voice firm. "It's fine, Caleb, but don't make me regret trusting anyone in this office again." His eyes widened, guilt flashing. "I swear, I didn't mean to. You followed orders before. That's done. But now, it's time for truth." Caleb nodded, swallowing. His attitude had shifted. He wasn't arrogant anymore. Not when he realized the real stakes. Across the office, Clara was absent. Rumor had it HR and corporate were reviewing her files. Everything, even Mr. Holden, was silent, uncharacteristically tense. I sat at my desk, opening the remaining files on the USB, making copies and notes. Jonas leaned beside me, whispering, "They can't undo this." I looked at him, voice steady. "No. But we're not done yet. This isn't just about me anymore. It's about making sure it never happens again." For the first time, the office felt mine, not because I had power over people, but because truth had its way. And Caleb, for the first time I saw respect, not fear. The laugh had finally echoed back. Just as I thought the storm had settled, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "Meet me in the parking lot, you'll need this." My pulse jumped. I glanced at Jonas. "Another twist?" he shrugged. "Probably. But let's check it out." We went to the lot cautiously. A car door clicked. A figure stepped out. It was Mr. Holden. My stomach dropped. I should have felt fear, but he raised his hands. "Pam, I'm on your side," he said quietly. I blinked. "The same Mr. Holden, who was part of Clara's plan?" He nodded. "Yes, but I've been gathering evidence against her quietly. Corporate trusted me to monitor her. Once I saw you got involved, I realized you could finish this, and safely." Jonas frowned. "So you were behind some of the messages?" "Not all," Holden admitted, "but enough to protect you. You've done what I couldn't alone." I took a deep breath. For months I felt trapped, powerless, humiliated. And now, the tables had completely turned. Holden handed me a folder. Everything. Use it wisely. I held it, heart pounding. This is it. The final move. Jonas nodded. Let's end this. The office drama, the betrayal, the humiliation, it was about to have a conclusion. And this time I would make sure Clara, and everyone who doubted me, felt the echo of their own laughter. The folder from Holden was thick with files, emails, internal memos, even security logs showing Clara's manipulation and Mr. Holden's previous warnings. I sat at my desk, heart pounding, whispering to Jonas, "This is it. We do it smart. No mistakes." Jonas nodded. "We'll expose her completely, but controlled. Nobody panics. Nobody gets hurt unnecessarily." I drafted a secure email to corporate, attaching proof and detailing Clara's actions. I double-checked everything, every typo, every date, every signature, verified. Then came the moment of truth. I hit send and immediately watched as corporate opened the files. The notifications pinged one by one. Clara's face appeared on the monitor, her expression shifting from smugness to disbelief to pure panic. She stood, pacing, muttering to herself. Her phone buzzed constantly. Even her loyal allies were confused. I leaned back, voice low but firm. "The joke's over." Jonas smiled faintly. "They'll have to answer now. No one can undo this." I nodded. My hands still trembled slightly. The months of humiliation, fear, and manipulation were coming full circle. And tonight, I wasn't just Pam the joke. I was Pam, the one they would never underestimate again. Clara didn't give up quietly. By mid-afternoon, security called. She had stormed into HR, demanding to speak directly to corporate investigators. I watched from my desk, heart racing, as she tried to spin everything, lying, pointing fingers, blaming anyone but herself. But it was useless. Every document, every screenshot, every log traced back to her. Corporate knew the truth. Jonas whispered, "She's finally realizing she can't wiggle out." I watched her pacing through the office, muttering threats under her breath. She glanced at me briefly. Our eyes met. Her fury was palpable, but I stayed calm. I whispered to myself, "No cruelty, just the truth." By evening, HR confirmed, Clara was suspended pending investigation. Even Mr. Holden, who had been silent all day, came to my desk. "Pam, you handled this remarkably. You stayed composed." I exhaled slowly, feeling the weight lift. But the twist hit me. Caleb approached quietly. I want to apologize. I didn't realize. I just followed orders." I looked at him, voice firm but calm. "You can start by being honest from now on. That's all I want." Even Clara's allies were learning. Truth always echoes back. The next week, corporate conducted a full audit. Emails, documents, and camera footage left no room for doubt. Clara's name was everywhere, tied directly to the fraud. Jonas stayed close, quietly supportive. Caleb kept his distance, guilt and respect in his eyes. I walked into the office differently now. Calm, steady, unshakable. No whispers could hurt me. No smirks could shake me. Corporate held a meeting. Everyone was present, including Clara, who was quiet, watching, defeated. I spoke last, voice clear. "I didn't set out to humiliate anyone. I wanted truth and fairness. I hope this office will reflect those values moving forward." The room was silent. Heads nodded. Even Holden gave a small, approving smile. Clara left that day. HR and legal escorted her out. The office felt lighter, cleaner somehow. Jonas whispered, "You did it, Pam." I smiled, a mix of relief and pride. We did it. The office had been a battlefield. I had been their joke. But the echo had returned. And it had changed everything. Weeks passed. And the office slowly returned to a rhythm that wasn't poisoned by fear or manipulation. Caleb learned quickly to follow integrity over blind orders. Jonas continued his quiet work, now respected by everyone. I settled into my desk, reviewing reports without fear. Without doubt, I even smiled when someone complimented a presentation or report. It no longer felt hollow. Corporate formally recognized my role in uncovering the fraud. I was promoted, not out of pity, but respect. The best part, I didn't have to brag. The truth spoke for itself. Clara's departure left a lingering lesson for the team. Accountability became real. People were careful with their actions, knowing that deceit would always find a way back. I whispered to myself one morning, voice soft, almost incredulous. I survived it all, and I came out stronger. Jonas passed by my desk. You've earned every bit of this, he said quietly. I smiled. No, we earned it. Together. Even the office lights felt brighter now. The joke had been on them, and the echo, it had left a lasting resonance, one of courage, truth, and unwavering resolve. I remember the first moment, the report thrown on the floor, the laughter, the whispers, the sting of being called a joke. Now, sitting at my desk, I can hardly believe it. I survived humiliation, manipulation, and betrayal. I survived Clara, Caleb, and the corrupt system she tried to manipulate. The echo had returned. And it was louder, stronger, undeniable. I whispered softly, voice trembling with triumph. I am not a joke. Jonas leaned beside me. You proved it. Every single one of them learned the truth. I nodded, looking at the office around me. People were working, talking, laughing, not at me, but with integrity restored. Even Caleb gave me a respectful nod, a silent acknowledgement of the journey we'd all endured. Clara's absence was a ghost, but her lesson remained. Those who manipulate will eventually be exposed. I smiled, thinking back to every moment I had doubted myself. The fear, the shame, the anger, every step had led here. And now, I had the last laugh, not cruel, not vindictive, just firm, just fair. The joke had been mine for a while, but the echo, it had come back, and it was finally theirs. I was no longer the punchline. I was the storyteller. I was Pam, and I had the last laugh.